Hey guys, welcome back to my channel or my Facebook, wherever you're tuning in from. Usually I jump on this and I talk about positive psychology or goal setting or health and mindset. Today I want to talk about something a little bit different. I mentor women how to live a life of health, wealth and abundance, but something that's a little bit taboo and women don't usually talk about is this wealth side of it. Yes, wealth is in being wealthy in relationships and experiences, but also money. And so today I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about sex, business, and money. Something that maybe some of us don't really think about. When you're working for a living, how do you live when you stop working? And so this is going to be a little bit different from our other lives, really transparent, no smoke or mirrors. And I'm going to warn you, it might be a little bit confronting for some. I've been on a massive personal, professional journey over the last few years. I feel like I owe it to you. You may have seen I'm part of an amazing community of passionate, inspiring, ambitious, goal-driven, business-savvy women called Babes in Business. And one of our biggest mottos in there is that knowledge is power, but only when it's shared. So I'm here today because I want to share with you a little bit about where I've come from, my story and my way forward. And if it resonates with any of you, invite you along. And if not, at least I can educate you a little bit more about sex, business and money. Heard my story. Me personally, I was the first person in my family to go to university. I've always had a massive heart and a passion to help people, but I'm not gonna lie, probably one of my biggest motivations of going to university was so I could have a little bit more freedom. Well, like most people my age, I saw my parents before me made a lot of sacrifices and work really, really hard. And I know that's reality for most families. But for me, I thought, well, how can I get ahead? What can I do that's going to set me up so I can have a little bit more time freedom, a little bit more money freedom, and just the ability to be able to do things that light me up. People my age and my generation, we were told and encouraged to go to university, and that was so we didn't have to make the same sacrifices our parents had to make. Maybe that way we would have a skill set that would allow us to dictate what we're worth, maybe have a little bit more say over our hours, and have more time and freedom to spend with family and friends opposed to settling for a paycheck or selling our souls and being slave to a job. My story, I have two younger brothers, I've got a beautiful mum and dad, and I guess for most mums, I saw my mum try to find jobs between us three kids that would fit around us three kids, fit around school drop-offs, school pickups, after-school sports, sick days, which made it really hard for her to find a good paying job opposed to one that gave her that flexibility. The idea of her, even if she wanted to go back into the workforce, it wasn't financially feasible. Daycare for most families is an expensive luxury, and actually, especially if you've got more than one kid, it actually can outweigh and is more than the cost of most mums' paychecks. It means they end up sacrificing their careers for kids, which stalls their progression or even stops it altogether from making that way up their corporate ladder and progressing in their careers and their passions, which is one of the reasons why you see most management roles in lots of different industries are dominated by men. In my dad's era, most people were really lucky to be employed by one employer for a long period of time. I know most people my age have already gone from 3 to 4 jobs. My dad's still with him now in his 50s. He started with them when he was 16. Going from 2 incomes down to 1, as well as the fact he worked in a metal factory. So we're coming to an era where machines are doing things a lot quicker than humans are. And so a lot of people in that industry were being made redundant. So my dad went and picked up a second job. So for a good 6 to 8 years, dad was working like 5:30 in the morning till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the factory. Then in his second business, which is a lawn mowing business, he'd go work 3 to 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Working a good 14 to 15 hour days, 6 days a week for years. And it's not until I guess you grow older and you reflect on how hard that your parents worked that you really have that gratitude for all the sacrifices that they did make so you could have the life that you had. So for me, after seeing the sacrifices that my mum made, and obviously my dad, because he missed out on magical moments trying to support us as a family, I thought the only way for me to get ahead was for me to go to university. But the reality of this, and this is one thing that grinds my gears, it doesn't get spoken about enough, is so many of us go to university and we bust our butt, we get high scores, we get high GPAs, we make the sacrifices of showing up every day and working 3 or 4 bar jobs just to pay your bills and survive, that because most people in our generation were supported and encouraged to go to university, that so many of us finish university as a graduate and there's not enough jobs for us. So to even get into the industry or try to get into the workforce, start on that minimum wage. Most of us move interstate just to get into the workforce or the industry in the first place. So if you don't want to move interstate, you might go look for other jobs, and I've had so many people actually say, now I'm going for jobs and they're saying I'm overqualified and they're not going to employ me. So lots of us who do go through uni do end up still on shitty pays. We move to rural areas. We're working long days and you chuck in a commute plus a $30,000-$40,000 HECS debt. I want to share some stats with you. First, I want to declare that I'm not sitting here on a high horse knowing or claiming that I know everything. I'm book smart. I'm not street smart. Lots of my friends will vouch for that. They're like, how can you know so much and do so well in studies yet say some dumb things? And it's because I'm committed. I invest a lot of my money and my time into personal and professional development. Reading books, attending seminars, completing courses, having mentors around me. And so I say this not to put myself down, but so you don't use it as a cop-out saying, I can't do that, I don't want to understand that, it's above my head, because it's not. Anyone can have access to this information and anybody can take control of their life at any moment. Knowledge is power, but only when it's shared. So this is why I want to share this with you. So if you don't believe me, go find this at the Australian Bureau of Stats website. I'm making this video in 2017. So if this is outdated by the time you watch this, maybe go check it out yourself and see some new stats. Very few of us who go to university actually get out of that mad rat race where you don't feel like you're chasing your tail, where you don't feel like you just take 2 steps forward to take 3 steps back. Most of us are living to the age of 85 years old. Timers at 65. However, they're at the moment proposing retirement age to move to 70. So let's say if you got your first job at 16, or if you're like me and I was just so determined to have my own money and get a job at 14, you're working 50 hours a week for 50 years of your life. And this is no smoke and mirrors, guys. I'm being really transparent with you and just sharing the reality for you. I hope you're one of the very lucky few who are passionate about what you're actually doing for work, because you're going to spend 2/3 of your life there. You get to retire at 70, because by the time we are retiring, that's the age bracket they're looking at. You can access your pension. So at the moment, that's $22,000 a person to cover your mortgage, your rent, your bills, your the food on your table at that age, probably your medical bills too, because I'm sure you'll have some if you're not looking after your health. If you're married, that pension is $33,000 between 2 of you. How do you survive off that? Honestly, I'd love for you to take the time to actually think about your expenses. How much are you surviving off now? How much is your mortgage? How much are your rates? How much is your water rates and council rates? If you don't have a mortgage, how much is your rent? How much is your groceries? How much is your electricity bill, your water bill? How much do you spend on insurances? How much do you spend on gifts? Because that's what life's about. It's about giving. And do you want to get your partner gifts, your kids gifts at that age in your life, maybe your grandkids gifts? How do you, 2 of you, survive off $33,000 a year? And that's even if pension is still there by the time that we're looking at accessing it. We all know that laws and regulations are changing all the time. And we need to be responsible for our own finances. If we don't take control of our own finances and understand them and start planning for them, why and how do we expect anybody else to? So let's say you do work 50 hours a week until you're 70. At the moment, these are what the stats look like for people who are retiring. Only 1% are financially independent and are able to meet their own needs without relying or needing any money at all from government. 4%, only 4 are able to meet their basic needs, while 22% are still working or going back to work after retirement. Depending on what demographic or age you're tuning in from, I know me and I look at my grandparents who passed away last year and thinking of how hard and what they were still doing just to pay electricity bills, put food on the table. Some of them weren't even turning on electricity because they can't afford it. How does those 22% of our elderly survive returning back into the workforce with injuries, poor health, and stress, expectations, and pressure causing heart attacks? Out of the people who are retiring today, 28% rely purely on the government's pension. And what's even scarier is that 45% need family or they depend on family. Okay with that. I have no issue supporting and loving my family, but you've got to remember that life isn't easy and it doesn't stop for you. As long as you yourself, if you're still in that rat race and you're working 50 hours a week trying to support yourself and hopefully you have your own kids by then, 45% of us are going to have to support our own parents as well. So my question is how do you get ahead working for a living so you don't end up in the same position as your parents? This is the reality, guys, and like I warned you at the start, this might be a little bit confronting, but I think you need to face this. And I want you to think about your numbers. Have you had a look at your future? Maybe some of you have never thought about it like that. And I get it. Most of my followers are about my age. I just turned 25, and I know that's not what's in many people's heads. But I've worked my ass off ever since I was 14. I worked a few jobs at high school, studying for a scholarship. At university, I was working 3 jobs as well as doing work placements. I got a graduate position and I was building my own business. I worked really, really hard for the main reason is I just want to enjoy life. And so I want to know if what I'm doing is going to get me ahead, and am I actually going to get to enjoy it? My mum always tells me, don't forget to slow down and smell the flowers. But so if all this time and energy that I'm doing in trying to get ahead, am I ever going to get time to slow down and enjoy the life I'm creating myself, or being too busy building a life? And that's what I want to share with you guys, because I want to give back. And the more I'm learning about business and money and wealth, I know for majority of us, working for a living doesn't work. What are you doing? Is it working? Is it going to get you where you want to be? Honestly. And yes, you may love what you do, but be realistic, because love doesn't pay for your parents' electricity bill when they can't afford to turn it on in winter. It pay for when your kids need an operation and you need an emergency savings there. Life is so short, too short to slave away for a paycheck and not explore this beautiful world. Do you have the time and money freedom to go and enjoy life? Be there for your kids' first steps, to be there for their school assemblies, to go cheer them on in their soccer game. Be there when a loved one passes away to help your family grieve. Life is too short to stay in relationships because women depend on finances. And I'm going to talk about statistics and women in the moment, and why I'm so passionate about helping babes in business. Babes talk about business, women talk about money, women take independence back, because life is about health, wealth, and abundance. And money does come into play with that. And we need to feel comfortable talking about it and not being intimidated about it. So I'm an open book. I pride myself on that. I always want to be authentic. I have a massive heart. I'm a massive dreamer, but I'm also a realist. Hoping by me sharing my journey, where I've been up to, where I'm going, you'll be able to understand where I'm coming from and know I'm coming from a place of love when I share all this with you. So if you're looking into your future, and most people who have, you've taken the time to look at the statistics and the research and know that if you're working for a living, it's exactly that. You're working to live, but when you stop working, how do you afford to live? Life these days, it's fast paced with machinery, technology. We have so many expectations that are placed upon us, many which are unrealistic, and it's hard to get ahead. Most of us are only one paycheck ahead. So if we were to lose our job, we would be in a lot of trouble. So I'd love to ask yourself, if God forbid something happened to you, or the day comes where you do stop working, what's your plan? How much money do you have behind you? How much longer could you afford to live and pay your electricity, your water, your mortgage, your rent, often buy something that you love and enjoy instead of just scraping by with the bare necessities? So that's why people end up looking at other streams of income. So if you've looked into finance as well, for business at all, you'll know that this comes up a lot. And it's about finding an investment or a plan for you that fits well with you. And so people often look at like flipping cars or investment properties. It could be writing books. It could be network marketing. It could be buying stocks. It could be buying options. It could be Bitcoin. It could be buying ATMs. It could be investing in startup companies. There's so many options out there. And I think for young women, we just say it's not our responsibility, or we don't need to know that yet, or that sounds too smart or too complicated, or there's too many long words. I don't even know what that means. And we get overwhelmed. And so I want to talk about sex. I want to talk about business. I want to talk about money because it's sexy. And who are we kidding, women? We know money. We know when there's a good sale, we'll go there and buy it. And business and wealth principles are exactly the same. It's just changing up the language. And that's why I love Babes in Business, because it's babes talking business. It's babes lifting each other up and sharing how it works. And we're business savvy, we're future focused, and we've got goals, we've got plans that are going to help us be independent. So you've probably seen my journey and you're wondering how it all fits together. You saw me go to university, get a scholarship. You've probably seen me then working in child protection, open up my life coaching practice, travel around doing workshops on mental health, as well as helping people with their health and wellness goals, but also linking arms with some amazing, inspiring, influential women in Babes in Business. And you're probably wondering, I don't get it. what is she doing and how does it all fit together? So I want to do some real talk. I want to get rid of the smoke and mirrors and tell you how it really is, because there's so many of you who are on the outside looking in and you're just watching. You're a skeptic and you're a hater, and if I'm completely honest, I totally understand how you feel, because 18 months ago I was where you were. I was totally skeptical. I didn't want to have a look at what this was or how Babes in Business worked, because I didn't want to be one of those people. I thought, I'm too cool. I'm a health professional. I have a uni degree. I got a scholarship. I actually got 2. I did my honours degree. I wrote my thesis. I worked really hard. I'm going to be successful in my own corporate career with my own business. I actually said no to Babes in Business for 6 months before I kind of recircled back to it. And that's cool. That's where I was on my journey, and we're all on our own journey. But if you're like me and you have some misconceptions around network marketing or MLM, or you think it's one of those pyramid schemes, please message me, because I had all those same misconceptions. I'll send you a video which totally squished all those things for me, and hopefully will explain to you why so many people are out there raving about Babes in Business and the Health Style Emporium. Because like I said, we're all on our own journey, and I had to learn myself. If you're a traditional business owner listening in, I know you will relate to this. But sometimes you just got to do it yourself. It's something that you need to learn, despite how many people may have warned you how hard traditional business may be. Because 50% of traditional businesses fail in their first 12 months, 80% in their first 4 years. And average investment for a business is $60,000. So if you're somebody who wants to get out of that rat race and have a little bit more time and flexibility around your pay and where you spend your time, and you're looking at traditional business, it can be confronting, especially when you know those stats. And so I did. I left child protection. I opened up my own life coaching practice. And I think it wasn't until then I became aware of the overheads. And as a mental health professional and a life coach, I had to continuously sell myself to get clients. And if I didn't have clients, I didn't get paid. And yes, I sacrificed the security of a full-time job in child protection to have that freedom over the hours I worked. But it was like the lesser of two evils. But I had to go through that journey, and I had to do my research, and I had to grow my belief in business and understand and learn from different types and streams of income, so I can confidently stand here and share. I want to help those who are here watching, or even if you have been watching my journey, and just explain what it looks like. And if you're somebody looking in and you've got misconceptions, or you've got hesitations, or you don't think this could be for you, it totally could be. Just reach out. 18 months ago, like I said, I was where you were. I was an outsider looking in, thinking, what the hell are they up to? They're crazy. They're a cult. They're way too happy, way too passionate. I can't be one of those people. The way to explain what I'm up to and how all the different pieces of the puzzle fit together is, have you guys heard of Uber? Essentially, we've created an online holistic health program that's all about nourishing the mind, body, and soul, called the Health Style Emporium. We've done all the work for you. We've teamed up with an amazing team of health and wellness gurus from across the globe. We've actually partnered up with an amazing whole food product, which is the most researched nutraceutical in the world right now. So if you're somebody who loves research, hit me up. I'm more than happy to send those research articles, which are published in world-renowned medical journals around the world. Style Emporium is just like Uber. You can use Uber, or you can get paid to share Uber. You can use the Health Style Emporium. You can join us as a client. You can be supported and encouraged and educated and empowered to make small, sustainable, healthy lifestyle choices for your mind, body, and soul. Or you could actually join us in Babes in Business, where you get paid to empower women online to be happier, healthier versions of themselves. You get paid to share the service just by sharing your health and wellness journey as you work on being a happier and healthier version of you. Now, I don't know if this could be for you, but what if it could be? It could be something you do on the side. It could be something you do around part-time or full-time work until you build it to that size where you do have that residual income and you're no longer working for a living. So when you stop working, you can afford to live. And so that's what I've been doing. That's probably how you see my lifestyle change over the last 18 months. I have more time for travel, more time for me, more time for yoga, more time for the beach, more flexibility and the ability just to fly down spontaneously and work from wherever I want to be in the world so I can visit my family interstate. The reason I'm so passionate about helping Babes in Business is, yes, it's crazy what empowering women can achieve, but even more so that as women, we don't feel comfortable talking about money. It's like, it's okay for a man to be successful and rich and provide for his family, but when a woman does, it's not humble, or she's not grounded, or she's boasting, or she's arrogant, or she's cocky. But Instead of talking about wealth and being proud in the fact that women can support themselves, instead we play small because it makes others feel uncomfortable. That's what we do as women. We're all about looking after everybody else. But what about us? I heard an awesome quote the other day from Sophie Tucker. It says, from birth to age 18, a girl needs good parents. From 18 to 35, she needs good looks. And from 35 to 55, she needs a good personality. And from 55 on, she needs good cash. So the reason I'm so passionate about helping women is because of these stats below. These statistics are from USA. I couldn't find any that were relevant for Australia. But just so you kind of get a picture of the scale of why it's important that women start talking about business and we start taking interest and knowing our finances and being okay with educating ourselves about it. And it being sexy again. 47% of women above the age of 50 are single and they're financially responsible for themselves. So women's retirement income is less than a man's because women were actually away from the workforce on average 14.7 years opposed to the man who's 1.6. So it's because women were traditionally taking on that role of the homemaker and where they're looking after the kids while the men stay in work. And it's because of that partnered up with the fact that women have lower salaries and we actually end up retiring on average on 1/4 of what a man does. This could be a heartbreaking stat for you ladies who are on the line who are romantics, but 50% of marriages are ending up in divorce. And guess who ends up with the children most of the time? Us. We become solely responsible for ourselves and for our children. We're living 7 to 10 years longer than men, so although we have less retirement funds, we actually need more of it because we're living longer than them. Out of the elderly living in poverty, 3 out of 4 are women. And yet, 80% of those women were not poor when their husbands were alive, which means that we're either relying on men for our income or understand how to manage our income. So maybe your partner made all these decisions about investments or stocks, and you were never educated or empowered to make those decisions. So when they pass away or when a marriage ends, what happens then? What does your future look like? Because 90% of all women at some point in their lives become solely responsible for their finances. Yet 79% of women have never planned or prepared for this. So you don't go into a marriage or relationship expecting it to end, and you don't go into a job expecting to be laid off, but it happens. So if you're relying on a partner or you're relying on a job or you're putting your future in somebody else's hands, I guess this vlog is here to inspire you, educate and empower you to look at your own wealth. Yes, women, we can have it all. We can have health, we can have wealth, and we can have an abundance, but it does come down to you. I think as young women, we should be talking about this more. We should be sharing the message and educating each other on about health, about wealth, and about abundance. And so too often though, women, they're intimidated. The thought of talking about money, talking about business, it's overwhelming. And I think so many times women, they want to know this kind of stuff, but they're not sure where to start. They're not sure who to ask. They're scared if they speak out, they're going to sound silly because they're not quite sure what questions to ask. If this is something that excites you, if this is something that inspires you, if this is something that you want to get into and you want to learn more about business, more about money, more about how you can set yourself up and be independent, because that's what life is. You want to be in a relationship as a woman because you love your partner, not because you were ever reliant on them. You want to know that you've got that security in a relationship, that when you have kids, you're good with or without anyone. You're good with or without your job. Good with or without your employer. Got that security blanket, and that means you're not clouded by fear. As you can see, I'm really passionate about business, and I'm even more passionate about linking arms and just connecting with women and talking about business. Like I said, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to introduce you to a whole tribe of women like me who share that entrepreneurial spirit, who have a great work ethic, who want to be more, do more, and help more. I'll apologize again. I'm sorry guys, this wasn't my normal vlog about positive psychology and all the hippie happy stuff, but it does need to be spoken about. So I hope you really enjoyed talking about sex, business, and money, because I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more of those chats. If you're somebody and you just love this content and you're a massive believer and supporter of women supporting other women, please share this video. I'd love for it to connect with anybody who's looking for a tribe of women like us. Babes who are passionate about empowering other babes in business. Sending you lots of love.